Altering the politics from the reality. The road to elections 2024. Radio 786, 100.4 FM.
Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon and welcome to the Radio 786 Town Hall Debate. We are coming to you live this afternoon from Eastridge. It's a little bit just after 3:30 this afternoon, and a very good afternoon. Welcome to this election Town Hall Debate. We have a lot to get through, and we have a panel of guests and from political parties that join us here this afternoon to get through a number of these issues. I suppose if the election were to be held today, it looks like it could potentially be in favor of the National Coloured Congress. But they have a lot to respond to here this afternoon because, of course, we have a number of the party political supporters that are with us here this afternoon that will take us through to around 5:20 to 6 or so. And we hope to hear from you as well via the WhatsApp line at 0786 10 11 12. Now, as South Africa is embarking on its next chapter beyond 30 years of democracy, it is this community from where we are broadcasting from this afternoon that has faced several challenges. This notwithstanding the economic opportunities that are dwindling, crime that seems to be on the increase, and a Cape Flats community in the broad sense that has certainly become a lot more isolated, as some do tell us. So how do political parties propose to change this and a whole host of issues? We'll get through some policy issues, we'll get through some matters around employment, job creation, housing, crime, etc. All of that will take us through for much of this afternoon. So do stay with us here on Radio 786 on 100.4 FM. With us for this debate, we have from the African National Congress, Muhammad Khalid Sayed. We have from the Democratic Alliance, Councillor Riyad Davids, the Good Party's Deputy Secretary General, Suzette Little, and from the National Coloured Congress is its leader, Fadil Adams. A very good day, certainly, to all of you for joining us. Let's start off with some opening remarks about us being, a week or two away from this national election, and you've been able to canvass a number of issues in the last couple of weeks in different communities. What, according to you, are the main issues that you think we're going into this election with? And more so, what is it that you feel is the sort of energy that you can bring to those issues when voters to walk in the voting booth on May the 29th? Of course, let's start off with Councillor Suzette Little to my far right. Councillor?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good afternoon, everybody. As the Good Party, we believe that we've been brought here simply because for 30 years we have not seen the real change that was hoped for in 1994, that we are still as a people on the outskirts of the very city that we fought for, that we still suffer the inhumane services, education, health, all of the things that we believed at some point would have changed in our favor as communities of this great city and this great country. Unfortunately, that has not happened. What do we believe that we can do is to bring and stop the suffering by making sure that we have the social services and the social justice within our country that covers a number of issues with regards to social workers, education, skills development. The one most important thing, of course, is education. We seem to fail, specifically in this province, we seem to fail the importance and understanding the importance of education in our communities, that it is the one key thing that will take our people out of poverty. And we believe that we should look at the justice within our country, the crime that has gone through the roof. Although several of the people that are in charge of this province would like to tell you that things have changed, it's wonderful, it's a brilliant place to stay, but the lived experience on the ground is of people dying every day. And so we'd like to change that by bringing back certain things that we believe would make a change, making a change within a community by engaging the community itself, not coming to a community and telling them what you think they should have, but engaging communities so that they can bring the solution to their own problems.
Sure. Thanks very much for those opening remarks. I want to go now to Councillor Riyad Davids for the Democratic Alliance. Suzette Little there saying that nothing really has changed. Councillor, you of course had a Democratic Alliance government for quite some time now. How do you respond to this claim that nothing really has changed for the people in Mitchell's Plain?
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to be here to speak to everyone today. So I'll once again go back to 1994 and we're saying it's 30 years in democracy. But it's been 30 years of democracy for some and the benefit for others. We need to look at everybody throughout.
Let's allow the councillor to respond. Councillor?
Yeah. So we need to change the entire fabric of society. And the only way to change that is to go to top government first and say, so where have the failures been? And the failures been in terms of policy all the time. It was to enrich a few and the rest of us suffer. So they destroyed, the ANC came into power, and the first thing they did is, and my colleague next door mentioned education, they fiddled with education, they closed the teacher training colleges, and they stopped building schools. They did the same too in the medical.
We're going to come to some of those things, and I want to get sort of the public to respond as well. But just if you could tailor perhaps your concluding remarks on this opening statements about what is it that, as Suzette Little said, there nothing that has changed really. What is it that the Democratic Alliance is bringing to the table this election?
So what we want to bring to the table is, we're saying we've got 7 metros. 1 is working, it's not bankrupt. The other 6 are bankrupt. We want to take that to the rest of the 6 metros throughout South Africa. In the same way, we've got 9 provinces that have completely failed except one, the one in the Western Cape. And that's what the DA wants to do. We want to take this to the rest of the country so that when you open a tap, you can at least have clean drinking water coming out of the tap. So all we can do is we can speak about our track record and say to everyone, where we govern, we deliver, and we want to do that throughout South Africa. Thank you.
All right. All right, Fadil Adams for the National Coloured Congress. What is it that you feel quite passionately about going into this election?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a little bit confused because I couldn't hear the speaker next to me talking. If I may request, he's going to get destroyed today. But in order for that to happen, the rest of us need to hear. So I've not heard a thing he said, so it's hard to respond. Please, can we just, thank you. So as the National Coloured Congress, I'm going to take it a step further than Suzette did and tell you not only has nothing changed, it's got worse for us. When I say us, I speak to our constituents, which is the coloured community. Right up the road here, literally up the road here, 30 seconds away, a baby lost her life. She was shot in the head. Oh, you're going to hear it. Let me take it further than that, man. I'm not even going to address that. I'm going to tell you what it is. The number 1 citizen in the province is in Mitchell's Plain today. But he won't come to this debate. He won't come to this debate because he doesn't feel that he is accountable to you. He's going door to door. He won't come here and take his hiding like the Premier should. He sent him. This is how it works. We take the pain, they take the glory. This is how it is. I will tell you what's going to happen in this debate today. The only people who will still believe in the DA today is those that get paid and those that get food parcels.
Some of the opening remarks here, of course, coming to you live from the Eastridge Community Hall, where we are hosting the Radio 786 Town Hall debate. Mohammed Khalid said, of course, this is an election to which you could potentially take control of the Western Cape legislature, but you're also dealing with some national issues that make its way into a debate like this. What is it that you think the ANC can bring, this sort of change that Suzette says we need in this community?
Shukran very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the listeners and good afternoon. The Democratic Alliance as the governing party inherited in this province a well-functioning economy. Unemployment in the Western Cape when the ANC governed was just under 17%. They've now raised unemployment to well over 20% in the province. In fact, the first quarter of this particular year, the Western Cape is number 1 for the increase in unemployment in the country, followed by the Northwest. So unemployment is skyrocketing in the province, and it's affecting in majority disadvantaged communities, African, coloured, Indian communities in this particular province. Ours is to say as the ANC, let's bring back our one-stop shop for SMMEs, which we had when we governed, which dealt with issues of red tape, but now to make it interdepartmental and grounded in community so that we revive the township economies in the Western Cape. With regards to crime, we also left this particular province with a lower murder rate than what we have now. The murder rate has skyrocketed. Now, and let me say, the DA is governing in this province, not in other provinces. They speak about Tshwane. They speak about Tshwane. They speak about the city of Cape Town. In fact, the DA representative admits that Tshwane is failing under the DA. They don't have water in Tshwane. But just to say, crime. Ours is to say we deal with crime not only through not only through ensuring that J.P. Smith gets to live his childhood fantasy of helicopters and drones and all of these things, but through ensuring that we deal with unemployment, we deal with education, we cut this thing of the Department of Education in the province, cutting the contract posts for teachers. We build more schools. We monitor closely. We monitor closely through legislation that we are putting in place, but that the manner in which we'll govern here, that learners are no longer going to be unplaced. School governing bodies don't have the final say on the placement of learners. The department must take responsibility.
Sure, and I want to get to some of those issues as we make our way. Yeah.
Public participation in everything that we do. When we govern the province, and we'll continue that, we had the People's Parliament. That's been broken down. Now when you have housing projects, now when you want to tackle crime, communities are not empowered, communities are disempowered. We'll bring that back, including with healthcare. That is how we have the NHI in place. That is how we built Mitchells Plain District Hospital in this area.
Thanks for those opening remarks, Mohammed Khalid. I hear the Bela bill coming in there a little bit, as well as issues around, of course, the NHI, and we'll get into some of them a bit later. Let's start with the economy as an issue. How do we get jobs into a community like Mitchells Plain? I want to start off with you, Councillor Riyad, since we have a Democratic Alliance, of course, that is seeking to defend, its political gains. Unemployment, from the numbers that we're looking at here, in fact, Mohammed Khalid said is correct. If you look at the amount of jobs that were just lost in the last quarter, the majority of those jobs were lost here in the Western Cape. This does stand in contrast to the claim here that where the Democratic Alliance governs, things work, and you're creating the biggest and the most amount of jobs according to the rest of the country here in the Western Cape. The stats don't quite back that up. It says you're losing the most jobs here in the Western Cape. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, let's start with jobs. Now, in the Western Cape, we have the lowest percentage, and my colleague spoke about percentages, so we are below 20% in the Western Cape, which means out of every 100 people, 80 have a job. You go to all the ANC provinces where there's more than 50% unemployed. These are statistics from Statistics South Africa, not the DA's figures, Statistics South Africa. So when you look at different types of jobs, there are seasonal jobs, there are contract jobs, and there are different types of jobs. But the reality is, and this is from Stats South Africa, we have the lowest unemployment rate. We've created more jobs than any other province throughout South Africa.
That's not, Councillor. That's not true. The KZN, in fact, has created the most amount of jobs. When you refer to jobs, what does the DA envision as jobs? Are you talking about EPWP? Because those aren't quite sustainable jobs, and it's a national program from government as well. So in terms of the Democratic Alliance is thinking, how do we create jobs?
So the way to create jobs is you first need to look at what jobs are required, what skills are required, and then how to implement those. So I'll give you a simple example of one thing we have. If a youngster aged between 18 and 25 needs a job, he can get 10 free rides to go and look for a job on the transport. But that's the truth. Yeah. Once he's got a job, yeah.
All right, Councillor, continue, please. Continue. Can we have a little bit of order in the room, please? Councillor, continue. You were saying about the jobs.
Yeah. The next one is, once you've got a job, you again get 10 free rides so that you can go to your job instead of having to, where you can't go to your job, you can't pay. We've started call centers here. We've got a program that we run every couple of months, where you have 1,000 jobs on a day, where people go to Athlone Stadium and they get these jobs. So we have created jobs. We have more call center jobs in Cape Town than any other province. We have more jobs in manufacturing than anywhere else in South Africa.
All right,
In the textile industry, we've created and we've opened so many.
Hear the difference.
Can we allow, please? We will allow the floor to pose questions. I will. Can we please allow the councillor to respond? I want to know, in summary, right? How is it? What is the difference that you can bring in order to create jobs in a community like this?
So the difference you bring is to by getting businesses to come invest here. They will create jobs. To assist small and medium enterprises to get jobs, we started something called cutting the red tape, which makes it so much easier to start an SMSE and create jobs.
Okay, Councillor, let me go to Muhammad Khalid Said on this issue quickly. On the issue of jobs, look, the stats are all over the place. They do show that we create or we don't create jobs. There are some of the stats that seem to suggest here that the majority of these jobs are being created through EPWP, which again is not sustainable. What, aside from what you were saying earlier regarding the SMMEs, how do we actually create jobs?
Tashriq, reduction of red tape is very important to create jobs. Now, what you need to do, and yes, I understand the point that regardless of SMMEs, but SMMEs have proven, particularly SMMEs in the informal economy, SMMEs have proven to be a major driver behind job creation. So we want to increase that, but also my respected colleague of the Democratic Alliance and is a councillor in the city of Cape Town speaks about the DA having reduced red tape for SMMEs. In fact, yes, they have reduced red tape, but they've reduced red tape for the big white-owned businesses in the Western Cape. Big white-owned businesses are not required here in the Western Cape to incubate SMMEs. We're saying as the ANC, when the people's government takes over after the 29th of May, each and every major company in the Western Cape is going to be required by government. We'll have a pact where you must incubate at least one SMME per year. Incubate at least one per year. Number two, we will not kick traders away from Salt River Market like the DA are doing now, or in Gatesville like what they are doing now. So, yes, SMME development, very important, but also manufacturing. The colleague spoke about manufacturing. We've just ensured now at the national level through the work that VW is coming back to South Africa with a bang to manufacture. But the hectares of land, I think it's over 700 hectares of national government-owned land in the Western Cape. Yes, whilst much of the land will also be identified for human settlement development, to ensure that we have sustainable human settlements closer to where people say, because that also contributes to job creation. If people have dignified human settlements closer to where they are working and to where the economic centers are, it will be easier for people to be employed. People will accept jobs that are put out there. But number two, we will also identify amongst that land what type of land there is suitable for the manufacturing industry and encourage manufacturing. Number three, agro-processing. The Western Cape has vast farmland. Ours is to ensure that also our land reform program is tied to building sustainable farming development, but in particular amongst previously disadvantaged communities.
How do you respond, Khalid, to claims that the ANC government destroyed all the clothing and textile workers' jobs in Salt River and along that entire belt, that it is the ANC government that destroyed that jobs here in the Western Cape? How do you respond to that?
Look, actually, if we were to be honest, in the Western Cape when we governed, notwithstanding the challenge that at the national level there was massive Chinese investment, and yes, textile industry was affected. But notwithstanding that, we were able to cushion that when we governed the Western Cape. There were industries that still remained open. And even now, whilst we are not governing, you find Sheraton Fabrics has now been re-established and is now working.
Can we just have some sort of order, please?
So,
another one.
Can you continue, please?
So we've revived, for example, Sheraton Fabrics out in the southern suburbs has now been revived. It is thriving. It's creating jobs. So we're getting there, yes. There were instances where jobs in the textile industry were lost, but we are on the path to improvement in that regard. And with an ANC government in the Western Cape, working with other political formations, working with the public, working with civil society, we'll revive even more jobs in the textile and clothing industry.
Mohammed Khalid Said there for the African National Congress. Suzette Little is from the Good Political Party. I just want to pick up on a Democratic Alliance claim that the most of the jobs are here in the Western Cape. I just want to come back to some of the stats very quickly. The quarterly labour force survey statistics from Statistics South Africa show that a number of jobs, in fact, have been lost over the last couple of whiles. If you look at some of the provinces where we have recorded increases in employment, it has been KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, and the Northern Cape. This now compared to the Western Cape, where 17,000 jobs have been lost in quarter 4 and quarter 1 of 2024. Is it true, according to you or your assessment, Suzette, that at the moment we have a province where there is a big incentive for businesses to come into Cape Town, and with that create the requisite jobs that Councillor Riyad was talking about?
You know, I'm sitting and it's extremely frustrating to listen to the going to. After 15 years, we're going to. After 30 years, we're going to. Why didn't you do it before if you knew this was the problem? Here's my issue. You're talking about things such as job creation. You don't have to believe me. Go and walk around in the communities and see how many people are walking on the streets. And then you tell me how many people are being employed in this country and in this province. The lie. Africa Check, an independent company, found that the DA had lied. I'm going to say it again. They had lied about the employment stats. I'm going to say it again. They lied about the employment stats. You don't have to look at the stat to know that's a lie. The story of getting onto a bus about they brought in new things, that's my frustration. It's the lies that we can't deal with anymore. The bus was open to the students and to people looking for jobs in 2014 and 15. Now, I don't know if it's new from then or new now. They created an opportunity for SMMEs called the community vendor. It was created in 2012 and was created in 2016.
Okay, please continue.
In 2016, it was developed a community vendor program. It was never ever implemented. It was to ensure that people within their own communities do the maintenance within their own communities. Where's those projects? Why do we have contractors from outside? But we are going to create an SMME. You create the SMME. Are you going to get finance because finance is not in favor of you? Are you going to be passed as a vendor within the city of Cape Town, and are you going to get the contract? The answer is no. So now my issue is, how are we going to create these jobs? There is an easy way of creating these jobs. It is the political will to make our children and our people prosper. The jobs must be created through a system where things are available to the community. It starts with the budget of the city of Cape Town. Those shouting there in blue, ask those people, why did she use her position within this community to remove cameras? So there was no evidence. So don't sit here. Don't sit here. Don't sit here and think that people don't know.
All right, can we please have some order back into the House, please? Can we have the members of the National Coloured Congress and Good, please retreat back to your seats so we can have some order in the House.
This is my issue. When politicians use their positions for themselves and forget about the people that voted them in, forget that there are people on the streets that need this opportunity, but they use and they sort themselves out first. That is where job creation starts with a political will.
Can we please have some order in the House, please? All right, let's continue.
The truth hurts, sir. The truth hurts. Job creation starts with the political will to change the system, to ensure that budget is made available for those SMEs, that there is an environment. Call centres was not created by the DA in the Western Cape. Call centres was coming into this Cape Town long after 1994. Call centres were coming into South Africa and into this Western Cape. It's not a new concept. My issue is this. Let me just say this to you. On the coast of Atlantis, there's an SEZ. There is
That's a special economic zone.
Special. Ask how many people of Atlantis has got space there. Go and ask how many of the people of Atlantis has opportunity in that development area. None. So don't talk to me about what you're going to do. You've done nothing.
That Suzette Little from the Good Political Party. This is a Radio 786 Town Hall debate coming to you live from Eastridge this afternoon. Talking about doing something, Fadil, the National Coloured Congress has, of course, it's a new kid on the block. It's been canvassing for votes everywhere. But you've been targeting certain businesses in this community to say that they must employ locals. Some suggest that this is a potential xenophobic tone that you may be taking to the politics in this country. Speak to me about how the National Coloured Congress envisages this idea of creating jobs, and what do the existing businesses have to do with that campaign?
Oh, okay, I'll give you the short answer because I realize that our time is compressed. But I just want to appeal again for order, man. We can't be going at each other like that. It's not worth a blicky first, guys. Just calm down, please, man. So, you know, when my colleague to the left, who is here tonight to represent the DA in Mitchell's Plain, but the DA councillors in Mitchell's Plain are hiding in the crowd over there because they don't want the answers. They don't want to give the answers, the true answers. So I'll forgive him for that. But let me start at the beginning. The biggest employer in the country is the informal sector. We can all agree on this. Come down Vanguard Drive. What do you see? This is not new. I've said it before. You see people selling the wares that they've created with their own hands. They're selling it freely with no interference. But when law enforcement hits the Mitchells Plain Town Centre, dan vat hulle breinmense se ywe af, hulle vat breinmense se frying pans af, and they take away the samosas that you're trying to sell to earn a living. Is that not xenophobic? We are the locals here after all. The Mitchells Plain Town Centre is the economic hub, not of Mitchells Plain, sir, of the Western Cape. But look what the Democratic Alliance has allowed it to become. A foreigner trading zone. They've turned coloured people into consumers. We produce nothing, we sell nothing, but we consume it all. Now I'm going to say this to you. When we started closing the businesses that refused to employ coloured children, the mayor of the city of Cape Town took me to court. He took my ratepayers' money, your ratepayers' money to stop us from forcing them to employ your children. And they talk to us about xenophobic. Let me tell you something. I don't care who thinks what. We are here to drive the coloured narrative. Let me say it a second time. The coloured narrative, no other one. We do not need to go as far as Atlantis, provincial member. Sorry, Suzette. Come right here to the Mitchells Plain Promenade, which was built in Mitchells Plain, purportedly for Mitchells Plain. Not a single person in Mitchells Plain owns a single business in the Mitchells Plain Town Centre. That, sir, is an economic crime. Every effort is made to stifle our aspiration. Not in Mitchells Plain, right throughout this country. You know, we can talk about the SMMEs and we can talk about the closing factories. And I love Khalid Sayed. I don't make a secret of it. But the ANC has put our mothers out of work. I want to end this. I'm going to end it very simply. I'm going to say two things. Let any one of the ward councillors there stand up and say 80% of Mitchells Plain or of their ward is employed. Let me ask the crowd, is 80% of your family or your street employed? This man is telling a blue lie, but he's doing his master's bidding, and that's okay. We understand it. Let me end it like this. Manenberg was supposed to receive a School of Skills 4 years ago. The School of Skills tender was won fairly and squarely by a coloured female who came in 6 million rand cheaper than anyone. The Democratic Alliance broke 7 of its own supply chain management rules to award that tender to a white-owned company. It went to court. The court ordered them to do the right thing, to revisit their policy. 3 years later, Manenberg still doesn't have a school of skills. The Democratic Alliance refuses to empower colored people to build for themselves. Today, this man sits here to tell us how well they govern. How well they govern, he must tell us for who.
Fadil Adams there from the National Coloured Congress. This is a Radio 786 Town Hall debate that is quite packed here this afternoon, live from Eastridge. Having covered on the issue there on the economy, we now move on very swiftly to the issue of housing. But before I move on to, can we just have some quiet in the room, please? This, again, of course, a live broadcast that has quite a number of members
Well, the
from
NCC,
opposing political
please sit
parties
down.
that's in the House
Please
at
sit
the
down.
moment.
Well, the NCC, please sit down.
All right, Councillor, I just wanted to ask Councillor Riyadh, of course, you are a councillor in the sort of Pinelands area, that Pinelands, Thornton area. Why is none of the DA representatives of this community present in this debate?
So remember, this is a provincial and national debate. It's not a local issues one. The local elections will be in another 2 years' time. So if you're going to have to do local issues, you speak directly to your councillor. You shouldn't wait for a debate to speak to your councillor. Your councillor should be available to you all the time. And I know, sorry, can I finish? My councillors are available, the DA councillors are available for all issues to be taken up with them. You don't need to wait for a day like today. So because these are provincial and national, I am on the list for national, so I am here for that. If I do get on, I will no longer be a local ward councillor. That is why the local ward councillor is not speaking. But let's take it this way as well. Suzette Little is also not the local ward councillor. Let's be fair about it. Nor is the gentleman to my right. Yeah, nor is the gentleman on that side. So we must be careful when we are asking why not. None of us are.
All right, finally, we want to jump into the quick response before we move on to housing.
I would love to jump in there because I served in the city of Cape Town, as you know. I no longer do, but I am a resident of Mitchells Plain. I am the leader of the party that will be contesting all of the Cape Flats. My question right here to my colleague, and you know what, I must be honest, I never knew he was a councillor in the city of Cape Town despite working there. I want to say this, whether it's a local issue, whether it's a national issue, we are here to be held to be accountable and transparent to the people of Mitchells Plain.
Exactly.
Why are they hiding in the crowd over
And
there?
I would like to explain.
All right, let's go to Suzette quickly on this. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Can we have some quiet, please?
I hate people speaking on my behalf. Yes, I'm not a councillor in this area, but I'm a PR councillor in the entire metro. Let's not mislead the people. I know it is a trait of the DA, but let's not mislead. I am a PR councillor in the entire metro. And our councillor over there, our councillor Shaheen van Nelson, actually participates in debates. So that excuse of a councillor not, he's a politician. There is no sphere, it is 3 equal spheres of government. And if he is called upon to debate, he must.
Yeah.
So there is no such thing as national and local,
Khalid,
and they mustn't come and talk.
Quickly on this one.
Quick one, Tashrik. You know, the response from our learned colleague of the Democratic Alliance actually underscores the DA's approach to governance in the entire Western Cape. Number one, when things go wrong, even when at the city level or the provincial level, they blame national government. They don't understand the spheres of government. But very importantly, and we've got experience of this in the legislature, you have a situation where the city of Cape Town actually wags the province. So when we pose questions, and Member Little will know this, when we pose questions to MECs, particularly MEC for local government in the Western Cape, who is a DA MPL, around the lack of oversight that the province is exerting over the city of Cape Town on simple issues affecting our people, after our councillors have exhausted all avenues, what do you get? The provincial MEC will say, no, you must ask your councillors to ask the MACO members in the city of Cape Town. So they deliberately try to create layers and divisions between the spheres of government in order to run away from their responsibilities as a Western Cape provincial government, and this is why they must be removed from power on the 29th.
Muhammad Khalid Sayed there for the African National Congress. This is a Radio 786 Town Hall debate coming to you live from Eastridge. I just want to remind those in the audience that in the next 14 minutes or so we'll take some questions. So do indicate to any of my colleagues that are wearing the press T-shirts, please do indicate if you have a question for any of the members of the panel. Let us spend 10 minutes very quickly on a very big issue, and I'm loath to just spend 10 minutes on it, but it is a significant matter. When I came into the area driving on the R300 to my left, I saw quite a number of shacks next to the railway line. I've seen attempts at bringing housing to the area, but they don't seem to have gotten anywhere. I see what looks like a bus rapid transit system that is 14 years later being laid down, some of the lanes and so on, and we don't quite see any significant movement on that front. I want to deal with the issue of housing very quickly. There's a lot of people that live in this community that are in backyards. They don't have running water, they don't have bins and those sorts of things. I want to maybe just start with you, Councillor, with Member Little. I keep forgetting you, a councillor in the city of Cape Town. How do we envisage and practically deal with this community's conundrum? How do we deal with the existing backlog around housing?
Your first problem is that public land is for public good, which means that the community of Mitchell's Plain must have a say as to which land is sold. But if you go to the sub-council of this Mitchell's Plain, you'll see how many times your councillor has approved the sale of land and claims that they have engaged you. And so that land that is now being sold off in your best interest, because they claim it's in your best interest, you don't even know of. We must ensure that the land that is in Mitchell's Plain is consulted with the people to ensure what must happen. Because you cannot just continue building houses without building the economic opportunity close to it that also serves that community. Not building schools, not hospitals. The one thing that is so important in our communities is early learning centers. We don't see these things anymore. And I don't understand how we can get rid of land when the need is so great. That is how you start building houses. It is the political will, and I'm going to say this again, because people do yourselves a favor. It's on the website of the City of Cape Town. It's their budget. Go and read it. You will be very impressed and saddened by what you see. When I say impressed, I mean the amounts of money, saddened by the lack of doing nothing. Now, if you go onto that website, you're going to see something such as lists and lists and lists of housing developments. Busy with consultants, busy with planning, consultants, planning, waiting for this. You're telling me in 15 years you never got it right to do forward planning? You never did forward planning so that when the budget is available that you can build the house? You've never built and developed contractors here. I know for a fact that in 2011-12, there was a concerted effort to ensure that the construction companies were brought to a point and developed where they can go from the CIDB1 right up to where they needed to be. Have we seen that development taking place so that the community can actually build their own houses? We haven't seen that. They remain subcontractors. And then we wonder why they get substandard products, because the contractor walks away and pays the 180,000 rand house, the subcontractor gets 25,000 rand to build this house. So we must, when we're talking about building houses, it's not just about identifying a piece of land. It is a whole process that has failed. The process under the DA, under the ANC, has failed because they have taken people, build houses. Once the house is built, you have another conundrum. There's children moving in because iemand smokkel weer met die. And you have a problem because nobody is coming off that waiting list because there are people going into those houses that don't belong there. How do we address it? We address it by political will. Take those houses off your list that is still busy with consultants. There's a project in Mau Mau, in Guguletu. They call it Mau Mau Project. The reason I raise it, in 2011, when I became the sub-council chair, the project was 4 years old. There's still no houses there. But money's been spent on it every year.
To where? Where's that money?
I'll give you the details.
Where's that money?
No, it's well run.
Okay. All right. Mohammed Khalid Said for the African National Congress. Is there a housing policy that you can speak of exists in its current existence, and where do we see these houses being built?
Firstly, I think it is not fair for Honourable Little to say it's the ANC and the DA at fault in terms of housing in the Western Cape. We do not govern the Western Cape. There is a housing policy in place nationally, which is being implemented, but the Democratic Alliance refuses and have refused to implement that particular housing policy, including when Mayor de Lille was the mayor of the city of Cape Town. Blikkiesdorp existed whilst you had Patricia de Lille of the mayor still in Cape Town. Let me just put that on record. However, ours is not to hit. We have the DA as our target. They are governing. We need to replace them. Let me indicate, through the ANC housing policy, we were able in this province, in the Western Cape, to build at an average of 43,000 houses a year when we governed. It's for everyone to see. The N2 gateway is there.
Maybe I should push you on that. Where can you point us to one project that is a national program in the Western Cape, in the city of Cape Town, where we can see those houses?
This was a provincial program working with national government. The N2 gateway is a case in point. The N2 gateway is a clear case in point. In terms of Mitchell's Plain, we've started a process when we governed the Western Cape, but we did not continue to govern the Western Cape. The Democratic Alliance has sent back over 200 million to national government. National has given the resources for human settlement development. That was sent back to national government because they failed to plan. Ours is to say, let's plan, let's involve communities when you are planning human settlement development, but also when we governed, and we will revive this, local construction companies were part and parcel of the process of developing the plan. So when we said, for example, we are going to build houses in Mitchell's Plain, for example, in Atlantis, we are going to ensure that even when contractors get the work, when big contractors get the work, and not only white-owned contractors, when companies get the work, they must ensure that local companies benefit therefrom. Local companies do the subcontracting. Security is provided by local companies whilst engaging communities, for example, because that is why houses have not been able to be built. There's been a lot of resistance in communities to it, and rightfully so, because communities are not made to feel part and parcel of the solutions when it comes to human settlement development. Finally, ours is to say, public-owned land, the priority must be for housing and not for private companies to buy that particular land. And public-owned land near the center of economic development needs to be availed for social housing. We as the ANC government, and I'm ending now, while the DA have been governing the province and the city, we as the ANC government availed the Tafelberg housing, the Tafelberg vacant land, which was owned by the South African Broadcasting Association or Corporation for social housing. It's the Democratic Alliance-led government that has actually gone to court to prevent that particular land to be used for social housing. So don't blame us for the lack of human settlement development in the Western Cape. Blame the city of Cape Town. Blame the provincial government. Right. And let's work together in a cooperative fashion.
Thanks very much for that input. Fadil, I want to go to you very quickly on the issue around housing development and why this is seemingly a significant challenge, going into this election as well.
Tashrik, it's actually not even a significant challenge, it's a sad one. And I'm going to explain to you slowly. Khalid mentioned the N2 gateway. 8 coloured families got houses on the N2 gateway. Do you know how many units there are there? Hundreds. 8 coloured families. It's a failure. We cannot, as the coloured community, we can't applaud that. When they built the houses in Johannes Meintjies at the back there, I was the only person in that hall who stood up and told Bongi Madikizela, you cannot tell us Mitchell's Plain can only receive 20% of the houses. because they wanted to give it at 20. Then they came back with an offer of 50%, and I said no. But people, who I will not name, went and accepted the compromise. At the end of the day, Mitchell's Plain only received 50% of the houses. Now, here's my issue with all of this. If you when they build houses in Langa, how many colored communities get houses? How many colored people get houses? None. Why is integration only happening in the colored areas? The answer to all of this is to let sanity prevail. Now, Malusi Boy, the former MACO member for housing in the city of Cape Town, was arrested by was raided and investigated by the Hawks. I predicted that 6 months before the time. You know who protected him? The DA. When we exposed 600 million rands worth of fraud and corruption within the South, in the housing department, the only party to ever have done it, you know who lied about it? The DA in the city of Cape Town. Now, this is the same party that sends 1 billion rand of the housing budget back unspent, as if we don't have a housing problem. All these squatter camps all around Cape Town is allowed to flourish by the DA. They use Swatgevaar against us. When colored people try to claim a little bit of land like here in Captain's Klip, we are met with brutality. If you want the answer to the housing issue, it's a very simple one. Let fairness prevail. There was a housing waiting list prior to 1994, which was 80% colored. Aunties, go to the housing department. Go and check if you're on that list. Your name has been scrapped, and that's why you're not receiving houses. And that is brought to you by the DA.
I want to quickly, before I get the DA to respond on this issue, I've heard from certain politicians that there is this thing called the construction mafia, that when they come into communities like this, they are being stopped by locals in producing those particular homes. I want to, since you are from this area, Fadil, I want to understand how serious of a problem or a hindrance is the supposed gang construction mafia to the building of houses?
It's a massive problem, but I'm going to give you a quick backstory. You know why it happens? Check the Manenberg School of Skills. White-owned company gets awarded a tender above a colored female who's 6 million rand cheaper. People get frustrated because what they do is illegal. These people are turning us into criminals. People are dying to work. They are refusing us the opportunity to work and grow. Who's the construction mafia? Owen Ingalls gave us a gang boss a security tender. They win more tenders. Who's the construction mafia? Tell us who the construction mafia is white-owned. They only target us as people of color who are dying of hunger, man.
All right, let's go to you, Councillor Riyad Davids. I know we have a couple of people waiting, but just on this issue, we're going to go to those questions just now. Councillor, of course, you must still respond on this part of our debate around housing. And I want you to, as you build your response, build into your response the reasons why monies were sent back. As it has been claimed. How do you get around the reality that you had a mayoral committee member, a DA member, Councillor Malusi Boy, that has been arrested for alleged corruption in the delivery of houses in this particular province, as well as the fact that there's a sentiment amongst people in this community that there hasn't been sufficient, anywhere close to sufficient housing development in the last couple of years under a DA government. Can you build that into your response, please?
Okay, so we first have to start with housing and say where is the biggest housing apartheid thing that took place, and it was at District 6. So we have, as a DA, we've kept on pushing the ANC. We have 350 million rand ready to go to build at District 6. But it's a failure of the ANC to make everything available for us to do it. So that's the first one. The second one is we've done housing in Valor Park, and we've just done the Bonteeville infill this past week. We're building at the market in Salt River. We've done 3,500 that we're busy with the last 1,500 at Conradie. We've done Maiden Muse, and we've done a huge amount of different housing projects. The problem is, I'm going
to fail in my duty if I don't, try and just stick to the facts here. Is Conradie not a DHA project?
So let's explain how it works. So when you look at something like Conradie, you're looking at how you can make housing available for every sector of society. So when you're building 3,500 houses, you're saying, what, we make 1,500 available for social housing. There are pensioners living there that are paying between 550 and 750 rand a month to live in the same similar type of apartment where somebody is a first-time home buyer, is paying 750,000.
Who's paying for that?
So the model works on social housing is that if you have social housing, then the South African National Housing Association, SHRA, gets involved. The banks get involved. Province puts in money. And you run a third social housing. You run a third market-related for first-time home buyers, and you run a third at the upper end. Now, it's the people at the upper end that are buying the 2.5 and 3 million ones, which is subsidizing the others. So when you have a community living there of 3,500 units, you have a third social housing, a third first-time home buyers, and a third free open market. We've done that at Maitland Mews. We're doing it in Conradie. We're going to be doing that at Salt River Market. And these systems work because it's one of the ways that at provincial government level and city, you can provide housing. Because remember...
But is that money, is that provincial government money, or is that grants from national government?
So what happens is, remember, province doesn't earn money themselves. It will always be money coming from national, because there is no tax within South Africa
is that not a national
for that.
Government development?
No, it's not a national government development. It is a provincial government development, because what national does is they make money available. But what the city does is the city provides all the services for free. Remember, when that land had to be developed, they come to the city's got to do the planning, not provincial government. The city's got to do the planning, the city does the infrastructure, the roads, the city does the electricity, the sewerage, the water, and all of those things. So by the city make that available, the development can take place. If the city charges for those facilities, it's going to be impossible to make that social housing available. And that's the difference that the city can do within a well-run city. Now, we're talking a lot about housing and houses and things like that. The thing is how do you unlock the land? Now, national government owns most of the land. If you're looking at Wingfield, that is owned by national government. They refuse to release it because they're saying in maybe one day the army will be completely destroyed, might come again, and then we might be able to use that land. People have been demanding that land for a very, very long time.
I have people waiting to answer.
Yeah.
I know Councillor.
Let me put this way:
jumping on this. Can I quickly ask on? Can I quickly ask on the question around Tafelberg? On the question on Tafelberg, why do you not allow that same Conradie model to find place in a sea point, and not even that model where you have 3 million rand apartments, but essentially for domestic workers, for people that work in that area? Why are you resisting this in court and not allowing Tafelberg to become a social housing project?
So the way you look at anything is you've got to look at what the services cost, what it will cost to build, and then is it affordable? Because local government...
Why is it affordable for Conradie but not for...
Yeah. So the difference is at Conradie you could do 3,500 units. At Tafelberg you can't. If you're looking at the cost per house, you can't afford to do social housing there, and that's the way that it works. Economics of scale are the only way to do something.
Okay.
It's the same as trying to do a 1 hectare farm compared to a 50 hectare farm. You can't do that.
Okay, let's just get some order here, please. I know that I'm gonna allow for the panel 30 seconds on this issue to respond. 30 seconds only, please. And then we have some of our guests wanting to answer or ask a question. Member Little, Suzette Little, just 30 seconds quickly.
Okay, yeah, the lies of the land of the military bases and stuff. The city of Cape Town is the largest property owner in the country. The largest property owner in the country. If they cannot use the land that they've got in their possession at the moment, what are they going to do with the military bases? They can't even use what they've got. Now, that's my problem. You're chasing after something you can't use, but because you need to blame somebody. You know, the DA reminds me of a guy that buys a car. He smashes the car into the wall, and then he wants to blame the manufacturer. You know, he owns the land at the moment. Use the land. The land that's in their possession in Mitchell's Plain, why not use it? They don't want to. It's as simple. You asked about Tafelberg. They don't want to build a house for domestic workers in Seapoint. That's the answer.
Fadil, 30 seconds.
Yo, Suzette has covered it. They are moaning about Wingfield, but they won't release Rondebosch Common. You know, I've said it before. The Democratic Alliance's greatest asset is the ANC. They just point to the ANC. Here's the problem. He's just admitted. We don't want people of color near the rich. Klaar.
Khalid?
I think I've been covered beautifully by Fadil and by Suzette. He has admitted, the Democratic Alliance have admitted that they support apartheid spatial planning. They are the ones who determines tariffs and rates in areas. So they are the ones who are actually admitting and saying that it is expensive for black people, and when I say black, I'm including colored Fadil. It is expensive for black people to live in Sea Point, and we don't want them to live in Sea Point because we're going to make it expensive. It points to, beyond human settlements development, the Democratic Alliance, no matter if they put Riyad Davids here, they are a party that protects white and Zionist interests. Because it's the Zionists in Sea Point that don't want domestic workers to stay there.
Councillor Riyad, I'll give you one last opportunity to respond to those.
Well, so if economies of scale to build something to make it viable
can we please allow the council to respond?
The way they interpret it, then we don't understand English or Afrikaans the same way. Economies of scale are important. We have to look, whenever you do something to make it sustainable, it has to be done in a proper way. It's nothing to do with color. I haven't mentioned color. It has nothing to do with anything else but economies of scale. If you don't do things according to economies of scale, then you're going to have the corruption that has happened on a major scale throughout South Africa, and that's the problem.
All right, okay, I'm gonna come back to. I'm gonna build your response into their answers quickly. Let me quickly go to them, to some of the members of the audience standing by to pose their questions to the panel. And just again, a reminder of the panel: we have Suzette Little, the Good Political Party. We have Mohammed Khalid Said from the African National Congress. Fadil Adams is here from the Cape Colored Congress, and of course, Riyad Davids representing the Democratic Alliance. We go now to the floor in this Radio 786 Town Hall debate here in Eastridge this afternoon with members standing by. Could you maybe just please introduce yourself and your question to the panelists?
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa, and I'm speaking on behalf of the senior citizens of Ward 116, that is Beacon Valley. And as the DA person said that we mustn't bring our issues here, I'm here because the DA councillor in our ward is non-existent. He's nowhere to be seen. Please, I need people to listen to what I have to say.
All right, allow the lady to ask a question, please.
Please, thank you. So, to the DA, this is about water security for the senior citizens, and which I'm one of them. So I want to just read to you about the Older Persons Act. It says, the Older Persons Act is intended to protect, promote, maintain the status, rights, well-being and security of older persons. Water being one of that, right? So my question to you is, how and when was this policy implemented, or who put the policy together whereby before a payment arrangement can be put into place, you have to put down a certain amount of money? So the reason why I'm saying this, it's a painful thing, because I deal with people on a daily basis. They cry because their water has been put off. It's a senior couple, the wife is over late 70s, the husband is 82, he's disabled. I had to call in Mr. Fadil Adams' people because the DA councillor, Solly Philander, he rubbed or washed his hands of it. He just shirked his responsibilities as the DA councillor. I would like today publicly to ask you to take my details after this meeting, because remember, I'm here representing senior citizens, and I would like to go back to them, because I am their voice today. I need to take back a message of hope, but also of commitment from you. So you must give me your details. We're going to set up a meeting, because I'm going to hold the DA accountable. Our people's water cannot be disconnected. It's inhumane, to have people's water disconnected. How can you say to a pensioner or even someone that lives off a disability grant, you need to give me 1,500 to to put a payment plan in place. How is that even logic? If the pension is 2,180 rand, so this pension amount or the person that receives a disability grant, they must come up. I know of people that had to go to money lenders, and you know, whether you live in our communities or not, what interest they charge. That's exacerbating their poverty. You know, I bring it here today. You said we must take it to the councillors. You need to speak to the DA councillor. But I want your commitment. Yes, publicly, we're on the radio. So please, after this meeting, I'm to come here and we're going to exchange details, because I'm going to hold you accountable, and we're going to have a meeting in this coming week. I want a meeting with you so that your people, the DA, can give us an answer. I'm not going to call Mr. Fadil's Adams people for help. Why must I do that? They're not governing the city. Your party's governing the city.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. A member of the community in Beacon Valley coming through, raising the issue about inhumane practices regarding payment arrangements for water. You may go next.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lynn Phillips. I'm an anti-crime activist, and I'm coming for you, DA. I'm coming for you. You know that Mitchell's Plain has got a high crime rate. Yet, the DA in this province decided to close schools, decided to take funding away from education so that our children can become gangsters once again. That is your plan. Secondly, I want to say to you, you took money away from hospitals, but you eloquently claim that you're building hospitals in our communities. Do you know, if I want to go to the district hospital, I must first go to the day hospital, which are not resourced. I want you to go to your MOU in Mitchell's Plain, because we speak about Mitchell's Plain. Go see 2 incubators. A mother gives birth, the child's got yellow jaundice. No incubator. How many mothers give birth and how many children get incubators? They need to lay in filth, dirty blood. No cleaning. Your people. You speak about job seekers. Let me say, it's man-made. It's a man-made system. What I feed the system and what I want the system to throw out, that is what is happening. So you're giving jobs to pals. And for your voters only, let me tell you that. I want to say, on the M37, you speak about land. M37 is part of this metro. Go see on your left-hand side of the M37, prime land being sold to private developers. Go look on the other side for Santa Cruz, they call it enclosed. Rich people. Go look on the other side for Santa Cruz, how people live in that particular houses, dilapidated houses, small little houses. National standards is 40 square meter. You building houses here, I can tell you, you've done Mitchell's Heights, you've done the houses here, 30 square meters, Hyde Park, 30 square meters. Yes. Why? When national standards are giving you that, I want to say to you, you eloquently brag J.P. Smith, no, with shot spotter in Hanover Park. I want to understand how many of those killers or shooters was incarcerated, successfully incarcerated, because there's results. You know, you've spent millions on these things. Millions on these things. It only show you where the shot came from and the speed the shot are going. We are saying we want shot spotter that will have a successful incarceration. Don't use us gangsters for us, men. Your councillors in Mitchell's Plain use gangsters to go paint their houses. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that. They must stop their nonsense, because now it's election time and we can understand that's the reason crime is increasing, because they're using the very same gangsters to vote for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lynn Phillips, having raised a number of issues. Let's now go to our third question on the ground.
Good day, everyone. My name is Romano. My statement is to the DA. I don't know why they sent him here, because he won't be able to answer us. Number one. Can we have some silence?
Just something very interesting is happening. It looks like the Democratic Alliance supporters have left the wall. I'm not quite sure why, but nonetheless, let's move on to the third question.
Can we continue? very importantly, there's 3 issues I want to raise here. 10 years ago, there was a school built called AZ Berman High. It wasn't built as a hockey service. 10 years later, there is no school built or land for that school, in fact. Again, they built another school called Paramount High, a hockey school. So what are they doing? Where is the money going to? That is my first. The second thing that I want to speak about is that when we grew up, we knew that our fathers and grandfathers used to work for the city of Cape Town. All of us council workers. Today, the city of Cape Town is giving these jobs to private people. Number one, the first thing that I want to mention is, if you see a council truck picking up your dirt bin, it's no longer the city of Cape Town. It's privatized. But it's okay if it's privatized. But the people that is employed are foreign people, not our own. That is the first thing. The second thing that I want to make known is that even our EPWP workers, they don't even get a job within council city of the Cape Town anymore. The other thing is the DA is using these young people, and they are being paid EPWP money to go and do door to door in our own areas, and we are doing nothing about it. What are we going to do? And number 4. You are, I don't know why they sent you, because you can't answer anything to us. You are just a puppet, but okay, it's fine, you are here. What we are saying is we are tired of the DA lying to our people. Do not do this way they send you. Ask Windy to come here. We have issues with him only until the 29th. Then you all are gone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The very spirited questions, of course, here this afternoon. We're coming to you live from Eastridge in Mitchells Plain for the Radio 786 Cape Town Town Hall debate. Let's go to another question.
Goedemiddag, my naam is Irene. Ek bly net hier oor die pad. En die vraag is vir die DA. Ek gaan praat soos ek genoem op praat. Luister hier. Die van die valuation of your property. Nobody comes out. In a year's time, my house go up 200,000. Who valued my house? Who valued it? They send you from post to pillar. I'm a pensioner. I say, 42 years in that house. I have to pay triple the money. The Indeed didn't grow and they say it works, it doesn't work. You have to walk up and down, up and up, where else? En daarna sê hulle vir my, ek moet gaan 14de vloer toe. En die sit die, het ek geld van my pensioen nog om sit die toe te gaan? Het ek? Dan moet ek na die mense toe gaan. Because they don't help us here. They just don't care. From 300,000, you went to 500,000. Who valued my house? Who valued it? Hulle moet nie van my, ek is soveel. Because my pension, almal van ons, if you take one day, you sir, go to that office there in Promenade, or in Lentegee, or in Bontief, or in Menenberg. You only see pensioners. They're breaking us. They're breaking the pensioners. We have to pay triple. We have to go from this place to that place. It's not fair. It's not fair. But ek sê weer, ek gaan nie 200,000 betaal nie. Ek is die agter nie, maar die pensioners sit elke dag daar. Maar pensioendag is hulle daar om hulle skuld te gaan betaal vir die city. And the city don't care.
All right. Thanks very much for that. I just want to say, for those people that are still standing in the queue, where they see the security guard, that's probably the last participant we're going to take for now. We'll have another round of questions because I want the issues of this community answered. So we'll come back to another round of questions. So if we can just start wrapping up, please, and keep the questions a little bit shorter.
Okay. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm just an ordinary voter. My question is to each member on the panel there from each political party. I'm a bit disappointed the Patriotic Alliance is not here. I don't know if they're boycotting us or what the issue is, but the question that I've got is, I would like for you, each and everyone, if you can come on a record with us and tell us who is your top 3 sponsors behind your political party, so that we know exactly who we're actually voting for, and so that we can make informed decisions when we go to the ballot box. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Top 3 sponsors to all of the candidates sitting. Next question.
Good evening, salam alaikum. My name is Suleiman Stellenboom. Most of you guys know me, supposedly those on the panel. But what frustrated me, guys, I work with a lot of you guys. Party politics is like a box of Smarties. Different color, but tastes the same. So what I want to tell you guys, I've been listening now to wat julle gepraat het. Blame game. Die ene blame Diana, Diana blame Diana. Now I am on a page. I'm not interested in party politics. I'm done. Ek is moeg van gebelieg word. Now what I've noticed specifically, let's start with the guy in blue in front of me. Jou mense het weggehaal because hulle weet sy lieg. Hoekom het hulle nie iemand anders gestuur nie? Sy kan nie praat vir ons. First of all, I want to ask you, where do you stay? In Mitchell's Plain? No. So you don't feel my pain. Send somebody else. I am a pensioner, brother. I'm a pensioner. I received the RDP house 14 years ago in Tafelsig. Brother, my water bill is 100,000 round. As not even the value of the property. Nou hoor, wat dien na jou baas toe? Ek refuse om te betaal. Julle bloed gaat opgetel word daar by my. As julle raak op by my. My water meter, listen to me. My water meter was in my yard. City of Cape Town, my co-members, ward council van my, hulle het my watermeter uitgehaal, toe sit hulle langs aan by die neighbor. Because ek het die pavement van my gevat. Waar moet ek my kar park? So ek het het gevat, ek het hof geloop. God troos sy siel, julle councillor, Sevel Arendse. He took me to court. I won the case, brother. Julle DAS puppets. Point 2. Ward 82 specifically, I stay in Tafelsig, brother. Ek het nog nooit gesien twee skole in een grond nie. But if you go to Tafelsig High, daar is twee skole in een grond. Wat dink julle van ons? Nou, die ding is die, as hy 'n vis vat, hy sit hom in 'n bowl. Hy gaan net groei tot die size. But as hy sit in 'n grotere bowl, gaan hy groot raak. Hoe ons education is messed up. Die julle, don't blame the ANC. You govern Western Cape. The other thing is this also. A new school was built in Ward 82, Perseverance. Primary school. Here is the school. There's a bean. If you get out of the gate, there's a bean. Primary school. Now listen to me. A school is not supposed to be built near a bottle store. I had a problem. That gentleman there, he came out and assisted me with Hot 104.9. And we addressed the issue. Up till now, nothing has happened. Die smokkelhuis staan nog en ek sê vir julle nou, try julle om my smokkelhuis toe te maak. Die smokkelhuis was voor die skool aangebou gewees het. So die problem, ek is hier vir die wyn nie, but I'm telling you, julle krippelose mense, julle getry my plek toe te maak. So we as community stood up. The other thing is this, man.
Last question,
julle,
please.
Ja. Kijk hier, weet julle wat is julle probleem? Julle moet op hier kom en vir ons lieg. Hoekom kom julle met die waarheid nie? Because wat het gebeur nou met julle mense? They all ran away. They all ran away. Now you must take the rap, mister. My boss is so full. Nah? If I must get you somewhere, brother, you're not going to be safe. I'm telling you. Because every night when I close, but ek gaan lê. If I go sleep, ek moet kyk in die huis, ek is nie aan grateful dat ek het nie. But een van die speakers het getouch op die housing. Brother, I'm a pensioner. My kleinkinders, ek het 'n one-bedroom house. Wat die hel dink julle van ons? What do you think of me? Bugger. So who must I vote for? For you? Must I vote for you? Sy is die laaste persoon wat ek sal voor vote, brother. You are a bunch of rubbish.
All right, thanks so very much, Suleiman Stellenboom there. Again, a very spirited sense of how, of course, his living conditions are and the questions that he's putting here, of course, to the panel. Let's take the last question for this round.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Joseph Jacobs. I'm the youth leader of the National Coloured Congress. I've got a question, and I think Butasha Layman just touched up on just part and parcel of that, to the Democratic Alliance, obviously. So, we've got almost 64 schools in Mitchell's Plain, right? We've just received another 3 temporary schools. AZ Berman High was built on the property of Tafelse High as a temporary school for 14 jaar. Wanneer gaat julle ons kinders dignify? Because we do deserve better educational facilities. Then I want to ask you, Mr. Democratic Alliance, you're elections evil, are you? But anyway, because I'm sorry. But anyway, I want to ask you a question because I asked you this yesterday and you didn't answer the question at UWC. I'm going to ask it again. Thursday Simmers was here, right? He spoke about a 10 billion rand budget that they received for infrastructure for Western Cape. My question to him was, val die skole onder jou department? Hy het gesê ja. Toe vra ek vir hom, nou, hoekom lyk ons skole die way het lyk? Our schools lack infrastructure. Julle bou skole bo op skole. Wat dink julle? Julle overcrowd is eerste by die huise, right? Dan overcrowd julle ons in die skole. En dan die ander ding is die akkere oorse kinders hier is plek in die skole nie. Nou, hou gevas. 10 billion rand, no? 1 billion, is 'n klom geld. Ek kan lang lewe met 1 billion, right? 10 billion rand. Het reflect dan nie vir ons nie. We lack infrastructure in our communities. Ek het hom gevra, hoekom het ons die regte infrastructure vir ons laities nie? So which means julle het die ding gestructure in a way dat julle vir ons wil eintlik doodmaak, man. Dieselfde way hoe julle vir Menenberg gebou het, right? Overcrowded flats. Hy mense kry ook nie huise aan nie. Dieselfde wat julle gedoen het met almal reg oor die Cape Flats, is dieselfde wat julle doen met die skole. Wanneer gaat julle ons kinders dignify? Ek weet nie, because julle tyd is af weer oor. As julle nou met julle klein kinders gaat praat, wag. As hy met nou klein kinders gaat praat, dan gaat julle vra, Daddy, when you were in the DA for the 15 years, wat het julle gedoen? Dan gaat hy sê, ons het die ANC gebleem, ons het geluister na J.P. Smith se drones, die premier het gevat, van education and health, toe druk het in safety and security, maar hier sit Hawking Bus members hier buiten, ek het nou net met hulle gepraat, hulle het vir 4 jaar nie gepay nie. So want toe gaat safety and security se geld wat julle gevat het van education, kom, praat, kom.
Thanks very much to Joseph Jacobs there. All right, that's the first round of questions that we'll take for now. I'm going to allow the panel to respond. We're going to have to take a break on the radio, so we'll get a chance to stretch our legs in a little bit. Of course, there is a number of questions here to get through. I'm going to allow each member of the panel to respond to what you think is important. I've made notes about things that I want to come back to. So let's, maybe before we get Councillor here, because I think a lot of the questions was directed at the Democratic Alliance, but let's allow members of the panel to respond to some of the issues, and then we'll come to you as a concluding remarks. Khalid, to you over very quickly.
No, thank you very much. Look, I think, as you said, most of the questions were directed to the DA and they should be given more time to respond. But just on the issue again of Ward 116, councillor being absent, it again points to the point that I raised earlier. The Democratic Alliance has got no mechanism in place from the provincial level as well as the city level to ensure that its councillors are servicing the people. You have a similar case in Hanover Park where Antonio van der Riede goes AWOL, offends the community, has allegations against him, he's protected by the DA. We raise these issues with MEC for local government. The Department of Local Government does nothing. So we are saying as the ANC, we are going to ensure that at the provincial level already, because people can't wait until 2026, the MEC's Office for Local Government with the department is going to be empowered and equipped to actually intervene on cases such as these. But also we want to say that our political party structures, here our comrades are here from Mitchell's Plain, they've been playing the role, and I know 116, councillor has been absent, here we don't govern. But these dedicated activists have been bringing issues to us about what's happening in 116. Just with regards to the elderly and life being made tough for the elderly, national government has got an indigent policy in place. But that particular indigent policy is not being implemented by the city of Cape Town in the manner in which it ought to be implemented. In Swellendam municipality, actually, which is a DA-led municipality, they are not implementing it. Again, provincial government allows that to happen. No oversight by the Department of Cocta, because the DA does not care about the poor and the marginalized. They don't care about the elderly who are poor and marginalized. Yes, we do. That is why we've got an indigent policy. That's why we've got an indigent policy. With regards to schools, schools are being closed in the Western Cape. Especially high schools are being closed. That is why we've got more primary schools than high schools, and you've got overcrowding. We are saying, let's ensure that proper planning takes place. In Mitchell's Plain, for example, there's a proportionate amount of primary schools to high schools, and that public is involved. Public consultation must take place when we are building schools, when we're planning for the development of the building of schools. With regards to hospitals, the Democratic Alliance has been closing down hospitals as opposed to building hospitals. We are saying, before the end of the 7th administration, we are going to rebuild GF Jooste Hospital in Manenberg, which was closed down arbitrarily by this provincial government. Mitchell's Plain District Hospital will be further enhanced. Instead of taking away money from healthcare, from education, but healthcare in particular, to a non-existent safety plan, we are going to keep the healthcare funds in the health department and utilize it optimally. Finally, with regards to community safety, what we find here is that communities are being disempowered when it comes to keeping communities safe. When we governed this particular province, we had a 24-hour Department of Community Safety funded a 24-hour hotline to bring issues of crime to the attention of SAPS. That's going to be reinstated. The walking bus program, which the DA put to an end, is going to be reinstated. The Bambanani program of volunteers, where community safety volunteers were funded by provincial government, is going to be reinstated under an ANC government in the Western Cape. Communities are going to be part and parcel of the solution. Thank you. And these are not empty promises. These are things which we did when we governed the province. Thank you.
Khalid, right, let's allow Fadil to respond. We'll have another round of questions.
Because the tension in the room is so high, I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm going to keep it very, very simple. I'm not going to make you 15 promises. You heard one thing. You heard an elderly lady stand up in front there and say, we had a pensioner with a water issue. I had to contact Fadil Adams' people. That's the whole story. They fail, we fix. That's the whole story. The second part I will refer to, and I noticed that my colleague on my right didn't answer, on the issue of who our funders are. There's a reason the NCC is not on the ballot everywhere. We simply didn't have the money. As a matter of fact, certain of our members made loans to get us on the ballot. We are the only party that resists external funding, because taking money from businesses, from Zionists, it will compromise the future of your children. We are not about that.
Okay, before I get to Suzette Little, Khalid, on the issue of donors.
On the issue of donors, so every fund that the African National Congress gets comes from its members. We pay levies, members of parliament, councillors pay levies, members of the community, business people at different levels. South African business people at different levels who are members of the ANC fund the ANC in the main, because they want to be part of the solution. And I take it to the issue in the Western Cape. We've been struggling with resources, but it's our local business people who have been assisting the African National Congress at every level. We're a volunteer organization. Thank you.
Let's go to Suzette Little.
Let me start on the issue of funding. Fadil, you're not the only one. We also don't have big funders. Monies that we use comes out of our pockets. You can ask our activists. Hulle complain heel dag. Die DA betaal klomp geld. Unfortunately, it comes out of our pocket. We don't have big donors, and we have got to be very, very careful how we use our money on that issue. I really want to address the lady with the issue from the seniors clubs. Let me just explain something to you, which I don't know if the colleagues know. There's a policy that says that once you've had an indigent grant, and you don't maintain the grant, they put all of that debt back onto your name, and they will not give... Wacht, gets better. They put all of that debt right back onto your name, and then they will not issue you with another indigent until you've made the arrangement. What is not taken into consideration is the following: affordability. That you cannot always, because you see, we're talking about all of these wonderful people that's employed, which we don't really have. People can't afford to pay that amount of money on the indigent. So if you fail... What they don't say is that if you don't pay it, that entire debt that was written off within that period now gets put back on. But the issue also of the house, the valuation of your house. The valuation of your house, it's called a desktop exercise. Now here's the problem. No, you need to understand why it is increased. Because when you go beyond 450,000 or 500,000, you no longer get free services. So your free services is now taken away. And so you need to understand it is about changing the policy. It's a very simple task. Change the policy. But if the policy is not going through public participation, like so many of the policies that are implemented and used on us, then you're not going to know. You must comment on those policies so that you can participate in what is being done to you. With regards to the issue of the walking bus, I'm very proud to say it was started in a place called Bokmakiri by a few ladies, community members who walked their children to school. And then they came and they explained this to a gentleman by the name of Dan Plato, who also left them, and then decided that he liked the project, and he then started this project. But they didn't know how to maintain it. And hence the fact that we find that people are now on the back foot. It's a beautiful project, but it's a community project. You see, you cannot claim something that the community done and say, oh, it's the DA's project. It's not. It's the community's project. There are thousands of these community projects out there that needs funding so that we as community can heal our society. You ask, how do we do it? You do it. We must fund it. That is how these things get done. How does Mitchell's Plain heal itself? It's not going to be healed by anybody but by the people in Mitchell's Plain. So why not talk to Mitchell's Plain and bring the programs and projects in? I want to end off with this. The DA does not believe in social upliftment. And anybody that wants to challenge me on that can do so. They do not believe on community upliftment. They don't believe that you as a community out on the Cape Flats needs upliftment or any programs to get you out of where you are. And hence the fact that our communities suffer because of that fact. We are sitting at the point where after 1994, there's been no intervention to take us out of a process that we had been placed in for centuries. And yet we are expected to grow like mushrooms in the dark and think that we are going to get young people that are going to be Yes, we do have young people that are multi-billionaires. But the majority of our children do not have that opportunity. We don't have the foundation that is needed, that social development actually brings to our community, and that has been taken away from us.
Suzette Little there from the Good Party. Councillor Ria Davids, lots to respond to. Let's start with who funds the DA. Please allow the councillor to respond.
Yeah. So every political party gets basically three sources of funding. Number one are the members. I, as a ward councillor, 6% of my salary every month goes towards the party. Yeah. The next one, yeah. Then the next one is when we do fundraising events, and the third one is big business. And those are your three fundings that you will have. What you need to do is you need to then go on to, there's a list which will tell you who those funders are. We spend, yeah, and it's all declared. So that is where it is. If you're asking me who they are, I wouldn't know who they are, but it is available on the website.
Okay, let me just on that point. Find it a little bit strange that you don't know, but two of them happen to be the Oppenheimer family and the Moshals. Do they determine DA policy? Does the Moshals and the Oppenheimers determine DA policy?
So DA policy and every policy is determined from branch level, and that goes through from branch level through to determine policy. No other way is policy determined, because it has to come from branch level. I've gone to conference already. The branch takes it through. It gets all the way through to federal, and then it gets voted on by the 4,500 members. It can never be set by anybody else. It's set by the members and voted on by the members.
But don't you? But just on this particular point. You have a Moshal that is a South African Israeli businessman, a multi-billionaire that gives money to 2 or 3 parties. The Democratic Alliance is saving the biggest chunk of that. How much of that funding determines what the DA's position, for instance, is on Palestine?
So if you want to ask that specific question, it's very simple, and you can go onto the website to see it. It calls for, it calls for a two-state solution. It calls for every single one of the UN resolutions to be accepted. It calls for a free and unoccupied Palestine. And that is the policy. It's on the website. Any funder can see that policy, and that policy is there. If you Google now, you'll see Emma came out in the week once again calling on Netanyahu to honor the two-state solution, ceasefire, as well as unrestricted humanitarian aid. That is on the website, and that is our policy. I
want to dedicate the next round to this particular issue, because voters feel very passionately about it. So let's quickly deal with the other issues that came up. We're going to remember I said after this, please stay in your seats. After this, we're going to take a break, and then just for 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll get into this particular subject on Palestine. A lot of the questions was around the indigent grant, housing delivery, water. I want to answer quickly, very very quickly, if you can answer the question on the indigent grant and the debt. That was a particular issue that to answer.
So as you know, every year we publish an amount that gets made available for indigent grant. This year, and in the last financial, it was 5.5 billion. And all it says is that if you're a pensioner, if you're earning below 7,500 a month, you're going to get your free services, and you can apply for a rebate from 100% right down to 10%. People need to make use of it and apply for it. What happens is people get into arrears first, and then they apply for the grant. You must apply immediately for the grant. There is no way, lady, that if you are a pensioner and you're earning less than 7,500, you shouldn't have. Yeah. No, it is not. It's wrong. It's 7,500 rand. That's in the policy on the rebate. What we can do is, when it comes to specifics, and I always say is it's good to handle specifics. I will give this lady the same opportunity I gave the other one before, and say to her, send it to me. I'll send it to the MACO member within accounts, and say, can you please investigate as to why you have not been given the rebate. But the rebate is available for everybody. In fact, even if you're earning 22,500 rand a month, you can still qualify for a 10% rebate. So the DA has got the widest social net in South Africa for municipalities, and that is an absolute fact. So
what about the debt issue? One of the participants has raised the question of the debt.
As I said to the lady is, I need to look at her case specifically. She can give me her details when I leave here, and I will personally check to see what the situation is.
That's not a specific issue. There's some people here that will tell you that if there's a debt, the water gets cut. We know of examples in Mitchell's Plain, in Hanover Park, where people are not even any longer using electricity and water, but they are raking up a bill. So they don't get their water gets cut if there's the debt.
No, so remember, your water doesn't get cut. So let's just go on the water cut. Just hold on. It's illegal in South Africa to cut water. Okay? Absolutely. Yeah. We go there. Okay?
Allow to respond, please.
Sorry, yeah. What you do is, if your water is cut, you contact the city. They'll come and put you on a trickle system, because that is the rule. So anybody.
Who said that rule?
That is a rule. You can record me. It's illegal to cut anybody's water. They put you onto a trickle system because you will not stop a water service. Can I
ask a question on that? Who made that rule, first of all? Whose rule is that?
It's a policy within the city. We will not cut anybody's water.
But how is a family? Here's a practical question.
Mm-hmm.
A family that lives in as we heard Suleiman's story, a 1-bedroom house, 2-bedroom house, 7 to 8 people that live in that house, they're on a trickle system because of historical issues. How are they going to wash the baby, wash themselves, go to work, make food if they are on a trickle system?
So remember, long before any account gets cut, the city sends you bills. It asks you to come in to make a payment arrangement, and you can also apply for a rebate. There is no other method of doing that, but if you follow the process, you should always have that system working. If it's not, then we come into specifics, and you've got to take that up. As I say, if it's not with your ward councillor, it goes all the way escalated to the MACO member, all the way through to the mayor.
All right. I know that a lot of you want to respond on this issue, but we are running tight with time. I just want to ask a question around the schools. Just give me a second very quickly. On the issue around the schools, why is there that there's no discernible, identifiable program, according to what we're discussing here, in an area like Mitchell's Plain, where we aren't building enough schools? And in fact, some of the examples that we've heard here is temporary schools that have gone for 14 years. Can you deal with that issue, please?
Often they're saying we mustn't blame the ANC and we must look at the different tiers of government. The city of Cape Town does not get money to build schools. Okay, let's be honest about that. It's at city level, it's service delivery. You pay for rates and you get service delivery. Okay? When it comes to province gets money from national to do something. Now, the rate of South Africa's population growing, government should have made a certain percentage, so that a certain amount of schools get built every year. And that is the problem on it. We just built a school now in 66 days. Every time we get money to build a school, we will build a school. The problem is we only get money from national to do that. It's not based on that. So we do our best in terms of it, and that is why when the Auditor General audits us, they say we have spent up to 98% of all the funds given by national, and we have a clean audit every single time.
All right.
And that's a difference.
Okay. Can we? I have to go for a break. I'm going to allow the panelists 20 seconds, please. 20 seconds to each respond to that, and then we'll go for the break. Let's start with you, Khalid.
Simple question. If you've spent all the money coming from national government properly for education, and let me say, the ANC-led national government gives the Western Cape the highest budget for education. If you've spent all the money, then why are you taking money from education to put into a non-existent safety plan for JP Smith to go and have more drones? Thank you.
Okay, Fadil.
So they're talking about temporary schools. I just want to remind all of you that Alan Zoller built Blikkiesdorp on a temporary basis. That's one. Number two, if this man is saying that it's illegal to cut water, I must be imagining the reconnections we're doing, because this man is a liar. And then also on the issue of why the councillors are not here. Angus McKenzie is a councillor, but he takes part in the debates. Solly Philander is not here because he lied on your sister station. On your sister station, he said the street lights in Mitchell's Plain that are non-existent are not his responsibility. That's why he's not here. This man, he's as bad a liar as the mayor.
Suzette Little?
You know, I sit here and I become frustrated at all of the stuff that I'm listening to. Is the Auditor General, and maybe this is a question directly to the Auditor General, is the Auditor General still going to say that they are well run after R1 billion was taken away to be spent elsewhere? Are we going to see that clean audit again? My issue is this. You cannot tell me that it is well run or that the schools are not built because of the ANC. 2020, during the COVID, 700 million rand was paid for PPE to one service provider who wasn't even part of the medical council. He wasn't even registered. 700 million rand. The matter was taken to the public protector. Suddenly, there was confusion. What was happening? But that MEC has gone to London. 700 million rand. Could we not have built schools with that money?
Yeah.
What could we not have done with the amounts of money? 38 million. Besides, and I would like to tell my other colleagues, besides the R1 billion that has been taken out of education, 38 million of education was very noticeably taken out of this budget. 38 for what? Advertising. When? This period. Isn't it strange?
Suzette Little there. Because we're running out of time, we're gonna rather just take the break at a later stage, and I'm gonna ask that those that have questions begin to line up. We're gonna go to our last and final round now. We're going to deal with the issue around Palestine in particular and other matters of international relations. We'll ask the panel to respond to that, and then we'll try and get through as much questions as we possibly can. So while you line up and you get your questions ready, I'm going to ask that you keep those questions very short, please. While we begin to open up the debate and the discussion around Palestine, we're going to get into that in a short bit. So let me go to the questions because I want to get through the line as quickly as possible. Let's start off with A.B. Isaacs. Go for it. It's on.
My name is A.B. Isaacs. First and foremost, to the blue train, as I call it these days, the blue train. Can the people just sit down? Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
First and foremost, to the blue train. You've been saying for the past 4 to 5 years you've got the safety plan, what we call the safety plan. My area of expertise is in safety and security. Yet, just a week ago, we had seen the bloodiest murder just down the road. Yet, your political leaders opted rather to come and campaign instead of dealing with the hardcore issues which your safety plan needed to address. That's number one. Number two, I fail to understand that continuously housing budget gets sent back to national. You keep on saying as the blue train, the Democratic Alliance, that it's the ANC this. But every year, money gets sent back to the province, to national. Yet no houses has been delivered for the past couple of years in this particular area where I stay. I don't stay in Vereniging, I stay in the Republic of Mitchell's Plain. Let me say Republic of Mitchell's Plain. The other point that I'm saying is that there seems to be no political will from the leading party in this province, not nationally, in the leading party of this province, to deal with this current genocide that is prevailing in and around the Cape Flats. So how, I'm not here supporting any political party, I still need to make up my mind. How can I support you and give you my vote for the next 5 years if there's no political will to deal with the genocide on the Cape Flats?
Thank you very much. That's A.B. Isaacs. To the next speaker.
Okay. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Sami. And I haven't voted for all the years, all right, since the beginning. And I'll tell you why. First of all, we need to understand, I just need to make the public aware of something. We are under democracy for over 30 years. Under Demoskratos, which means that the public over here is the government. Your people are being paid by the public, which again means that they have employed you through a vote. The missing link here is a consequential contractual agreement which the public should have put upon you. Because with lies and promises and all that, does not happen. It's because of us. Now it's time we change that. And I want to ask all of you all, and I want to ask every political party the same thing. Are you all prepared, or do you all accept the laws governing the system and dynamics of democracy? Which means that do you accept that the public is the government over you? Do you accept that they make the laws and not you? You will only table it. We will decide whether we want it or not. All right? Now, this is the most important thing. For 30 years, every political party that has been practicing the format of the apartheid system, which makes parliamentarians, which only means to discuss issues. It's been making parliamentarians the government. That is the apartheid system. We're under a democracy where you are the servant. You are being paid with money that we don't even decide on. And it's time, when you talk of public participation, we want an audit as
Can
well.
I just ask for a question, because we're running time to time.
All right.
What is the one question that you want them to answer?
One question here is, do you all accept the principles and the laws governing a democratic system? Do you accept that the public is the government over you?
Okay. All right, pretty straightforward question to the next one. And please just keep it short.
Okay, well, those before me had their time. I think I deserve my time. Starting with ward allocations. Or what I think this man from the DA said about the different tiers of government, we know that. But the local government is local. So you're responsible for the water being disconnected. You know what? Mitchell's been the cuck down. Sorry for my words. The shit is running down the streets in this place. Just last night I had to do something about Tafelsig. It's running down the streets. Old people, babies, you know about health issues if it comes to shit, no? Ward allocations. You have councillors in this Mitchell's Plain. I was one of the first local election councillors. So I'm a veteran. Your councillors, where are they today? I feel sorry for you, sir, that you must sit here. And your ship, they abandoned the ship, they left the captain there. So, ward allocations, I'm disgusted. When I was councillor, I called meetings in every block, asked the people what their needs were, because that budget belongs to the people, not to anyone else. And you have councillors, jare ek lag, as ek hoor hulle deel sanitary pads en neppies uit in die Mitchells Plain. Jare ry kinders wat hy sanitary pads vat, dra die beste tikkies, maar hulle deel pads uit. Ek wil het hy sê. It might be funny, but that money can be better spent. Then the street lights, you know, there was a policy. It was different municipalities, the 7. We were the city of Cape Town. Sien julle daar is floodlights. We were the first ward who could get those floodlights when the policies changed. En kyk hoe staan het, vandalize, het beteken boggerol vir ons in die blok. Hier word mense prik geskiet elke dag. As die city ernstig is, dan begin julle met hy goed man, simpel goed. Ek is hier vir simpel goed, want ons saffe elke dag met die gemos wat julle hier bring. Then the last thing, the housing, I served on housing, it's a passion, because I know what our people are going through. Hulle gaan bly in Wendy House en hokkies, it's hulle mole, hulle gaan skoon in gatte bly. Now there was a project, the Beacon Valley Housing. Ek wil gou vra, ek het vir 4 jaar die mense updated gehou, toe begin het 2020. Julle het gepraat van construction mafia. Lyk my die mafia is maar hier tussen ons. Ek wil jy moet die terugneem na die city toe. Hier's mense, almost 20,000 on the waiting list, go check it out. Dan wil julle ons met so liewe en hokkies, ons kinders gaan matriekkanals. Julle, when I served on housing a couple years ago, the national government in USDG grant, I spoke on it, 170 million, was teruggesien. Elke blyre jaar gebeur hy man. Nou wat dink julle van ons mense? Begin te bou en om af te sluit. Hier's 'n construction mafia vir Beacon Valley. Van hier het eines Mackenzie se blerhuise nou gebou gehad word en Makassa. So is a problem.
All right, thanks. We have about 5-6 people in the queue. Can I please just ask question and then move along? Very quickly, question and move along.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm not going to name my name because of the work I do. I've got a question for the DA. We are contracted by the City of Cape Town as protection detail to the City of Cape Town water and sanitation, electrical, councillors, etc. So I'm not going to name the name of my company. I stand, and I want the people to hear this, I stand next to the city guys when they take the meters out of the ground. I stay next to the city people when they cut down the pensioners' waters. Every day for the last 8 years, I am there to see how they take the meters out, and I am there to see how they cut the pensioners and people with little babies in the house, they cut their water. That is the question I have to you, nothing further, sir.
All right, thanks very much. To the next one.
Hi, question for DA. When the speaker said, who's your funders, you said you didn't know. But when you said Oppenheimer's, you also said, wow, I didn't know that you knew it. But the thing is this, I want to see if your sponsors are gagging you. Are there a genocide happening in Palestine? Okay. And to the ANC, we know you took Israel to court. I just want to know, why didn't you make sanctions against Israel? And why didn't you do so much more? Or is it just a political ploy?
Okay. Thanks very much for that.
Goeiedag sê. Ek is die chairperson van die NCC Youth League. Nou, voor ek my question vraag, just a reminder to the honorable gentleman of the DA. Gister by die University of UWC, u was mos daar. Ek het vir u gesê dat u se DA members het geloop, want u het nie vir hulle McDonald's betaal nie. Weer eens het die DA geloop. So ek weet nie, ons hoef nie meer die DA te tekkie, want ons weet die DA gaat verloor die Western Cape. But my question is to the member of the ANC. Ek is geworried, want daar's geen load shedding nou nie. So nou wil ek wil net weet, na die election, wat is tijds gaat ons kry?
Please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Zainunisa Bafkans, and I'm actually from Ward 50 in Bonteville, where we are having our 5th housing infill project. That being said, there has been no upgrade of our sewage infrastructure. Shit is literally running around the streets. Is there any plans for that? And secondly, are any IDF soldiers going to be arrested anytime soon?
Not just.
Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Yolanda Antonio. I'm from Farm 694. And just one question. My home, I'm living there actually 1.5 years. It's a new project home. The water has been cut off for 4 times now. We were told we have it unlocked till the end of the month. And then the water's supposed to be falling away. And then we start for the new month, you have to start over, then we start paying. But we're not yet even 5 years in the house already. And the issue is, the people that worked on the building, they were using the houses, water. And they've been billing the people 8,000, 3,500. My point is that they started by the electricity. Your water gets cut, then they start with your electricity. Now you pay 600 rand 4 days for electricity. Does that bill come off from your bill, or what is
Just quickly, I just wanted to ask you.
Because I don't see it coming off.
I just wanted to ask you, Councillor Riyad said earlier it's not true, it's illegal to cut water. Can you tell us today whether your water has been cut?
And it is still off.
Still off.
I went to the DA's office. That was the beginning of the month. Twice. They're still giving me an answer. I'm going again on Monday.
All right. So I guess thanks very much for that. I think we then either sit with a council. I think you're going to have a difficult one answering that, because here we have people whose water is being cut. So either somebody's doing something illegal or somebody's lying. I don't know. But let's move on to the next question.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I just want to make a comment first. And, you know, as we're sitting there, all of us that's sitting here are all the creation of the Creator. And we have to return to that Creator one day. And it can be just now. And I want to ask, will you be satisfied with what you've told these people and others? When you meet your Creator, it can happen to any of us. And I'm asking that because your party is not higher than the Creator. My question to you also is, I know that the NCC hasn't been in national government, right? The Good Party, DA, and the ANC. Now, as you're sitting here, and I will declare, yes, I am an ANC member. Not from now, from the 80s. I have lots of family living here in Mitchell's Plain, and Rocklands is very significant for us. Now, you are represented by your parliamentarians that are paid a good salary with benefits. You are party to those ad hoc committees and oversight committees, right? So you have a say in those committees. We're talking national government and then come down to provincial government, right? Correct? So how do you pretend that you don't have any influence on national policy, legislation, or bills that are passed? Because you are afforded, each party is afforded or are afforded an opportunity to contribute to such bills. And democracy works like this. If you're in a minority, the majority then goes through who votes for that. But why do you guys make like you've got no influence? You don't have anything to do with these kind of things in policy development and legislation.
Okay.
And I want I just want to have a follow-up to that.
Quick one, please. Just quick
Please, because all of that filters down from national to provincial to local. And I can tell you, because I work between provinces, in Gauteng province, what the ANC did there when they were in council, I can show it to you as well, that they have on a sliding scale electricity, water, and for older people, they open up a period where older people can come in with their proof of bank statements that they're indigent, and then they write off those that are below a particular income. They write everything off, including you as ordinary citizens, besides indigent and older people. You can then, if your rates, you feel that they are overcharging you on rates, you can then submit an application for them to re-look at it and tell them why you feel. Why can't it be done here?
All right.
And
Okay.
so too in other provinces, it's done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shukran, for that. Okay, we have...
I'm Peter Hoffman. I talk to you, Mr. D.A. Liar, big liar. Jy sê nou vir ons die mense kan nie hulle water afsit, maar het gebeur in Mitchells Plain. Around Mitchells Plain, water running free. Why in Mitchells Plain? Our seniors suffer every day. I work with 70 people a day. And from the 50s, water is cut out. So what now? Who lie, you or the city? I want to know now. Because a lot of people I work with every day suffering. We do it. You say we must do it in decent ground. We do it. Then we come there, they say, it's 3 months is over because they are delay our people's stuff. It's you, DA failures. You fail Mitchells Plain over and over again. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am not going to give my name, okay? I'm a community activist. I stand here today. We have in 2017, 2018, a pilot project for backyard dwellers, water and sanitation. Why did that not, or why were it not extended? We speak about water and all these things, and our politicians come and they give us, oh, everything is so rosy. But you know what? Nobody can be trusted of the politicians because they did not really give us. To national government, you said you open up how many jobs in the police services, right? My son was one of those who went and he passed, and that was the end of communication. Up until today, national government, up until today, how many of our young people in Mitchell's Plain were not accepted as SEPS members, and where did they turn to? Drugs. You give EPWP jobs to the DA, to whoever. EPWP, 100 and how much rand per day? Can we live from that amount of money? Thirdly, safety and security. I am living for safety and security. We volunteer 365 days per year. Every crime scene, who is there? The volunteers. How do you look after us? By a jacket and a cap. Is that what we must be settled with? Where's a safety plan? There was never a safety plan. Crime is rising in Mitchell's Plain. Our people is dying in Mitchell's Plain. And they're not only dying by the gun, they're dying of hunger because of no jobs.
Thanks very much, certainly, for that. We're going to have to wrap up soon, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to just quickly direct a couple of questions that I want quick answers to, and I want to go into the last segment around Palestine and South Africa's International Court of Justice case. Khalid, to you very quickly, will load shedding return, and are you manipulating the current situation for votes?
Thank you very much. So we have proven, it's just been well over 50 days of no load shedding. Well, I guess if people are saying and asking us whether load shedding is going to return after the elections, it means that they've got confidence that the ANC message resonates with the majority of South Africans, because we are coming back to power after the 29th of May to continue on the program of no load shedding. We cannot guarantee that each and every day there will necessarily not be hiccups in the system. But we have committed to a just energy transition, to an energy mix, and we're implementing that at the moment, and that's being done.
I just want to the one lady's questions around jobs that locals are not getting in SAPS and elsewhere. Can you respond to that as well, please?
No, most certainly. Look, I think we need to approach, firstly, that question from the standpoint of saying ours is to build an inclusive Western Cape. We are all human beings. Let's not discriminate against one another based on which areas we come from. Number two, if you were to do a thorough analysis, jobs are created in our communities. There are members of SAPS. There are. If you go to various SAPS police stations, you will see there are young people from Hout Bay. There are young people from Mitchell's Plain. When I say Hout Bay, I mean Hangberg. There are young people from Bonteheuwel working for SAPS. Notwithstanding that, I want to say that at the level of SAPS, mistakes are being made, and we are going to correct those mistakes. It cannot be correct that young people study. They study to be police officers, and they struggle to find work. That needs to be corrected and can be corrected. But we've been governing this country for 30 years, Tashrik. 30 years. addressing an apartheid legacy that started when Jan van Riebeeck arrived in
Sure,
this country.
okay.
We are not going to resolve everything overnight.
Fadil, over to you quickly.
Nadia, I lost the question in the middle of the noise.
The question is on some of the issues. Look, there was nothing directly at you since there isn't an ANC government or a DA government. There's no NCC government. But from some of the issues that we've been hearing here around water in particular, is a particular issue, including the rates and housing delivery. From the discussion that we're having right now, it seems that there's quite an evident scenario in which people don't quite trust the ANC nor the DA to deliver on these issues. What is your sense about what the NCC can do to deliver on these?
I just first want to agree with Khalid that we should not discriminate, but then I'd need to ask him why the discrimination against us. You can walk into any police station across the Cape Metro right now. You'll be lucky to find 2 colored policemen, even if it's in a colored area. Then you can walk into any clinic or day hospital and you'd be lucky to find 2 colored people working there, even if it's in a colored area.
Okay.
So I want to say to you, what the NCC will do is the NCC will do what we're good at. We will force the issue of colored economic employment and opportunity. Klar!
Okay. Suzette?
In Mitchell's Plain, you have officers that are helping people on a daily basis. They are filling in people's forms for indigent. They are being sent off to the city. And on a daily basis, water is still being cut. Applications are being made to the city. City ignores them. Sometimes you've got to send in that application 3 or 4 times because it's being ignored. What we would like to implement is a better pro-poor policy. Although people talk about a pro-poor policy, there has got to be a level of service delivery where certain levies are done away with. There's the pipe levy, there's the box levy, there's a klomp goed levies. Yet we are not able to provide the proper services to the community. We now see the city going around telling the people, the ESCOM people, please bring it over to the city of Cape Town because we're going to provide a better services. Let me warn you, you're going to pay more for your electricity and you're going to be paying a levy and you are going to be paying a hell of a lot more than the NERSA tariff, which they are trying to defend with our money. Now, it is about things like that. The amount of need within this Mitchell's Plain, the councillors are not doing their job.
Yeah.
It is left to political officers. It's left to political officers and interventions within communities to actually go out and help.
Sure.
The reason we're here
I'm so
is
sorry to
because
cut
they
you, but
failed.
I am running out of time. We have to break. There's, of course, Maghrib has a prayer time coming up as well. Councillor Riyad, of course, we've in part responded to issues around housing and water, and of course, whether it's satisfactory, we'll leave that up to the voters to decide on May the 29th. Can you here, right now, categorically state or not, as per what one of the participants had asked, does the Democratic Alliance believe that genocide is being committed in Palestine?
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah. So I say to anybody that's got my cell number, look at my status. It says stop.
Not yours, the Democratic Alliance,
let
not
me
yours.
finish. It says stop the genocide. Okay? Stop the genocide. Right?
Councillor, that is your status.
Yes.
I'm asking, what is does the Democratic Alliance here today, can they tell us, is genocide being committed in Palestine?
So, on the Democratic Alliance, right? Yeah. Okay. I have to give it to you. Give me the chance to give it to you. So, at the moment, we have a case. South Africa has a case at the International Court. And the question is genocide being committed? And that is the question there. What we got to then do is, no. Yeah. So, look. So we had, look, if you give me, as I said, if you asked me, I'd say the genocide being committed, right? And it's on my status. When it comes to the DA, then I've got to give you the DA view. And the DA says it's in front of the courts. The courts will determine, because that is the actual case in front of the courts. It's the actual case in front of the courts in terms of it. And we've asked the courts to determine that. When we go to the court, that is what's been asked.
Supported that court application.
No.
The DA doesn't support the application at the ICJ.
So everybody keeps saying that. Sorry, let me finish. Can I finish? When the question was asked to John Steenhuisen, if you come into power, will you stop the court case? He said, no, categorically not. The court case will continue. And that is, we keep giving you the answers. Nobody wants to hear the answers. And that's why I'm giving it once again now. And I'll keep giving that answer.
Okay, Fadil. Okay, let me go to Fadil. Fadil, quickly.
So, thank you for your status that says stop the genocide. It is appreciated. But your opinion doesn't matter. Let me tell you what the DA's position on Israel is. In 2017, Helen Zille posts, she tweets, we will never stop supporting Israel. That's one. In 2024, John Steenhuisen says, one man's genocide, another man's freedom. Let me tell you what the DA's stance is. Aboriginal lives don't matter. There is no genocide in Israel, in Palestine, if you ask them. They speak of a two-state solution. We have tried loving our oppressors as South Africans. I advise the Palestinian people not to be stupid. No two-state solution, no peace until there is no more Israel. Klaar.
Suzette?
Let me just say this, that for good, the Good Party believes that it is a genocide. We could never have gone through the apartheid years, suffered, still suffering, and not recognize that this is a genocide. It's blatant murder. It is the wiping out of people. How can you sit here and say that it is not a genocide? People come across and says, yes, but what about the people in South Africa? Yes, we're concerned about that too. It is as criminal here as it is there. But this is a blatant bombing of people, of communities. It is a genocide. Okay, you cannot step away from it.
Khalid, over to you quickly on this.
Can I go? Thank you very much. Firstly, there was a question raised about whether the ANC stance in terms of going to the ICJ is purely linked to elections. No, it's not. The African National Congress has supported a free Palestine even before 1994. It was Nelson Mandela who said, South Africa will not be free until Palestine is free. Oliver Tambo, at the height of apartheid, when we were suffering and we needed international support, went to the United Nations campaigning for a free Palestine. When it was not, we could have easily have said, no, we need maybe some Western support for South Africa to be free. Let's not champion the free. We did that. The Palestinian movements themselves, Al-Harakat al-Muqawama or Hamas, when they were here in this country, who hosted them? Hamas came out very clearly appreciating the African National Congress for the support. And it's not riding on the ticket. Speak to Palestinians themselves. We cannot be more Palestinian than Palestinians. Fatah movement as well, with all its shortcomings. Even those organizations left of Fatah have recognized the ANC support for Palestine throughout. Even in the time of Jacob Zuma, when the ANC were losing ground at the ballot box, we still remained firm. In fact, we hosted Hamas in this country.
Can I just ask you a follow-up question? The DA says their position is no different to the ANC's position on a two-state solution and everything else. Is the DA and the ANC then in the same minds on Palestine?
Certainly not. The African National Congress government has spearheaded the fight against Israel at the ICJ to declare what Israel is doing as a genocide. You hear now from our learned colleague, the DA refuses to call what Israel is doing a genocide. Number two, in the Western Cape Provincial Legislature itself, it is us as the ANC who championed the rights of workers in the legislature to wear these keffiyehs which I'm wearing now. It's the DA member of parliament of the legislature whose constituency head in this area, Mitchell's Plain, who went and complained to the legislature administration that those scarves must be removed. It's Alan Winde who goes at the opening of the State of the Nation, State of the Province address, speaks about the killing of children in Russia and Syria, refuses to mention the children in Palestine. It's John Steenhuisen who says one man's freedom fighter, or one man's genocide is another man's fight for freedom. The DA went to Israel. John Steenhuisen and Jordan E. Lewis went and met with Herzog and the other leaders of apartheid Israel. They refuse. We call Israel an apartheid state. We've broken off. We recalled our staff from the South African embassy in Tel Aviv. As a result of that, the Israelis, out of anger, have cut off diplomatic ties. There's no Israeli embassy.
There was a question to you, Khalid, about whether you will prosecute. There was a question whether you will prosecute South African mercenaries that are engaged in fighting with Israeli occupation forces.
Most certainly we will. That's a policy position. Minister Pando made it very, very clear. What we do want, and we'll work together with everyone, whether you are with the CCC, whether you are with good NCC, and any political formations and civil society, bring those cases to the attention of the NPA. Let's get prosecutions going. Thank you.
Right, Councillor Davids, you wanted to respond as your final parting remarks.
My final one is, we did not say there's not a genocide. We said it's in front of the courts to determine, because if you don't have faith in the courts, remember we took it to the courts. If you don't take it to the courts and put it in front of the courts, you can't prejudge it. That's the policy of the DA. We didn't say it's not a genocide.
Why can't you say why can't you say it's a genocide?
Because it's in front of the courts to determine it. We took it to the courts for that.
Apartheid was legal apartheid was legal in law at some stage. Would you have said apartheid is a system for the courts to determine?
No. Sorry.
Can I just have you saying that until the court pronounces or the DA cannot call this a genocide, apartheid was legal at some stage in this country.
Can
you take the moral position as the Democratic Alliance and say, judged on the amount of babies, children, women and men that have been killed, bones that have been destroyed, Gaza that has a water cut off from itself, cut off from that particular area, can you not commit on a moral
So look
standing
at what the
that
DA
genocide
has
be
said,
committed?
a free and unoccupied Palestine, that's our policy. Number 2, unrestricted humanitarian aid and immediate
Genocide.
ceasefire. So those 3 things are where it's in the policy, and we call for it, and every week there's a statement coming out calling for it. Last week there was a statement from Emma Powell calling on Netanyahu to honor the Oslo Accords, to honor each and every one of the United Nations resolutions. And that's what we will keep on doing as the DA. So if the people want, if you want to try to create something and try to put something on us, you can't, because our policy is clear on it.
Councillor, we're out of time, and I know this is not a one-on-one interview, but the reality is that the Oslo Accords is what led to the occupation of Palestine, and you saying you want a commitment to that particular theft of Palestinian land.
No. The Oslo Accords...
I'm not quite certain what it is that you're referring to.
The Oslo Accords are called for 2 states. They're calling for it. They called for a free and unoccupied Palestine.
Okay.
That is there. It's within the policy, and it's on our website. We're calling for it.
Okay. All right, that brings to a conclusion our debate here this afternoon in Mitchell's Plain. Thank you very much to everybody that have come through. We're on time for Maghrib, and we do apologize for it being a little bit late on the radio, so we're going to have to conclude our debate here this afternoon. It's evening now, the Radio 786 Town Hall debate in Eastridge. We had there to the end Councillor Riyad Davids from the Democratic Alliance, Khalid Said representing the African National Congress, the Good Party's Deputy Secretary General, Suzette Little, as well as the National Coloured Congress's leader, Fadil Adams. Thank you very much, certainly to you. That's a special broadcast here on Radio 786. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a lovely Saturday evening until we talk again on Monday morning, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hear the difference. Radio 786.